Awesome. So we're here with the BzzAgent case. We're going to start with the spiritual thought here. So this is just from a talk by Elder Hale. It's called "Becoming a Disciple of Our Lord Jesus Christ." It says, "Many people hear the word disciple and think it only means follower, but genuine discipleship is a state of being. This suggests more than studying and applying a list of individual attributes. Disciples live so that the characteristics of Christ are woven into the fiber of their beings as into a spiritual tapestry." So I really like this because I think sometimes I get into the checklist mode, I guess you could call it. I'm checking this off, did that, did scripture study, did prayer, but really it should be who I am instead of what I do. So I really like that little excerpt. Well, just getting started here. So we'll start here. It says,
Off and on for you as well, or is it just me?
What was that?
I'm asking, breaking up as well, or is it just me?
You've been cut off a couple times.
What was that?
You're kind of cutting out sometimes. Yeah, it definitely is breaking up. Would it help if everyone turned their bandwidth to low? Well, Landon. Hey, Herb. Is this better when I'm speaking?
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I don't think so. I can't hear Landon. Can you hear Landon, Herb?
No, I cannot. But I switched to my phone and restarting the computer right now.
Landon, are you on maybe mute or something? Or you think it's bandwidth? This is going to be the day for technical difficulties.
With only one case study this week.
Right.
Our luck.
For this video, the point where we start is going to be pretty significant. You been having a good day, Herb?
Yeah.
Not too good today?
No, it's just these past few weeks with at work. It's been rough.
Oh, that's the worst.
All right, can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
All
Awesome.
right, good deal.
We're all up and running. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start with what does BzzAgent do? What need is being met? So, Landon, do you want to start us off on this one?
Yeah, so it looks like it's a marketing agency, but he focuses on the word of mouth marketing, and which makes a lot of sense to me because just as it said in the case, everyone's a little more confident in reviews and opinions of those that they know compared to just hearing an ad on TV. So that's the market he's going after, and I think it's really smart because from what I've seen, it looks like it's a lot cheaper to do and it's more effective. So it's good for people because they're getting marketing from people they trust, and it's also good for the business side because more people purchase their products because people feel more comfortable purchasing them. So I think the need that's really being met by BzzAgent is that word of mouth marketing that was lacking through other marketing means before.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think it's a great idea. I mean, just with me, so I'm a big tennis player. So if I'm going to believe someone who, like a fellow tennis player about maybe a new racket or something, versus just seeing an advertisement for it. So I think it's great. I think it adds, as far as needs, I think advertising has over the years lost credibility, and it's kind of become something we're so used to. I think, people see like millions of commercials, so it's like we're so desensitized. But I think it's meeting that need of something new with advertising, and then just kind of the human connection aspect of it too. What do you think, Kurt?
Did you ask me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually surprised by some of the stats they quoted. I think it was on page 3 that 2/3 was influenced by word of mouth, and then that word of mouth recommendations had the same effect as 600 advertisement exposures. So just like Landon pointed out, it's a lot more cost effective sending somebody a $10 book or a $50 coffee maker or whatever. And that's going to be the same effect as paying for 600 impressions, whether they're print, TV or radio or whatever. So it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I thought that was incredible as well. So what about the product market fit? Have they demonstrated demand they can profitably serve? I think you touched on this, Herb. I mean, they definitely have demonstrated demand. I think in one of the exhibits, it talks about all the businesses that were using this service, and there's just tons of very reputable businesses. So I think with all types of products, in the beginning we talked about Penguin, the book publisher, and then just a bunch of different ones. So it's a pretty versatile service, I think.
Yeah, and it's interesting going to market strategy that they offered that initial campaign for free, just as a proof of concept. That speaks for their confidence in their strategy.
Have you guys ever heard of Influencer?
No.
I had not heard of any of the competitors. I'd heard of BzzAgent before, and also several years I signed up. I never did anything, but I did not. I've never heard of any of the other competitors that they introduced.
Yeah, and I'm not sure, maybe it's connected with BzzAgent, but my wife, she signs up with Influencer, and she'll get a box of just random products every month or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and she just, she tries it out and then she just writes a review. But I thought what was really interesting about BzzAgent's approach was that they didn't just seek positive responses, they just sought responses in general.
Hmm.
And I think that adds a lot of value to the company as well, because now it's saying, okay, what do we need to change in order to make this product more successful? It's not, I feel like TripAdvisor and a lot of those other companies that focus mostly on reviews, they look for those positive reviews. And that doesn't always give the best information to the company of what's causing the lack of sales. So I really admired that the agents got compensated for simply writing the review. It wasn't about reporting only the positive things about it, but it was about just giving an accurate statement about their experience with it.
Yeah.
So I really like that concept.
And I wonder if those companies then turn around and use that in improving their products or marketing appropriately.
Yeah, I would
Yes.
hope that they do, because I mean that's really valuable information for them. And in a sense, they're doing both marketing research and advertisement at the same time.
Yep.
So I hope that they're taking advantage of that information.
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, Herb, why don't you, since we're already on the topic, let's just keep talking about what makes BzzAgent successful.
So just the way that they go about it, one, like Landon just mentioned, they don't really care whether, well, they do care, but they're willing to listen to the customer on both ends, the ones who are excited and the ones who are less excited. I'm not sure how effective it is to have their, what do they call them? The Buzz users, how effective it is to have them share their negative impressions of a product, aside from, educating the public about the availability of the product. But just the way they go about it, making sure that there's a certain level of integrity when they talk to others and introduce, the sunglasses, the book, the CD, or whatever, when they talk about it, that they identify themselves as being affiliated with BzzAgent, and then just giving detailed feedback. And they had several different levels. So one was the real campaign that was very involved. Then a shorter campaign that was really just drop downs or multiple choice questions. And I think there was a third one. I can't remember now what the third one was. And just giving it some time. 12 weeks, that's 3 months. That's a long time to run a campaign and keep those agents involved and keep them pushing the product.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that I haven't thought about it in months, but that is a long time for a campaign. Landon, what do you think? I know you shared most of it. Is there anything else you wanted to add to what you shared?
Um, Not really. Like Herb was saying, I thought it was interesting how much longer their campaigns were compared to their competitors. But I also found that it was interesting that most of their competitors hadn't really jumped on the whole word of mouth marketing idea. I mean, they kind of have, but they're focusing on such small segments that they really, it's almost as if they haven't developed faith in the concept yet. So I think that sets BzzAgent apart, that they can really go into it full force with really, I mean, in my opinion, not much competition at all. So I think that is another aspect that makes them successful, is the fact that they're really pushing themselves out there and getting on the forefront of it, while their competitors seem to be lagging behind a little bit.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think they're just on the kind of. I think they really recognize the need of the market there and how normal advertising just the ROIs are just going down. And yeah, I think it's a great idea. I think it's super super clever, um, and it's kind of going out on a limb. So next one, as a group, pull out the case and discuss Table A and Exhibit 5. Take your time as you work through the following questions. How profitable is BzzAgent?
Exhibit 5.
Exhibit 5.
Okay.
Table A and Exhibit 5, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was surprised how much profit at the end of the day. 25% net margin. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
It really is.
Any kind of consumer sales or anything, if you have double-digit net margin, you're doing really, really good. And to do a quarter of your fee to collect that as net margin, that's just outstanding.
Yeah, it really is. I think I mean, just a 70% gross margin. It's really good. And I bet with some of that stuff that they can get that even farther down. I think they haven't fully developed the means to be very efficient since it is a new company. And a lot of times when you have a new company, you have things that aren't as smooth as they can be because you just haven't done it a lot. So I think they could even cut down on those costs to make the margin even bigger. But I mean, very profitable, very good numbers, and it looks like they should be good. Just just getting a couple customers.
Yeah, and was it in this class that we discussed that new medical device, DNA?
Yeah, yeah, it was.
Yeah. So I wonder if this is a similar future course of action as they collect more and more data on their Buzz users. They have more and more, they gain more and more understanding so that they can give companies exactly what they're looking for. So if they say, hey, I have this new product, I wanna get the senior citizens excited because that's who we're targeting, and we want to gain further traction. So then BzzAgent can exactly dial down to, okay, this is the kind of demographic, these are the hobbies we want them to have, this is the financial security or lack of security we want them to have, this is the education level. They can give their customers exactly what they're looking for in regards to that market niche that they're going after.
That's not easy. Nick's gun is an 8-pound gun. My brother's gun is
Yeah, it's awesome. Well, moving on here. So it says calculate the growth rate from the beginning of 2002 to the end of 2004, and from the beginning of 2002 to the end of 2006. Let's see here. Let's see. And is that more in, I think that's table, or not table, that's Exhibit 4, right?
Exhibit 5.
Or Exhibit 5, right. Has anyone already done this?
I haven't. No, I did the Excel document.
So did I.
So.
For some reason, I thought that's all we had to do, but I should have read through it a little bit more. Let's see here. And are we just, do you know what growth they're wanting? Just,
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. What we're.
there's several ways that you can do it.
Yeah. They want revenue or actual profits.
I don't.
The
Let's just go net income.
Okay.
Make it easy, I guess.
It says from the beginning of 2002.
Yeah, beginning of 2002 to the end of 2004, and then from the beginning of 2002 to the end of 2006.
Okay. I don't know.
Do they want us to do? Should we do it by like year to year, or just like in total, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. This is.
Let's see. Well, I guess overall, let's see here. I'll try to calculate the overall for the first one here. Well, they've grown. I don't know how accurate that number is, actually.
I'm getting a really big number.
Me too.
Well, because they went from a loss to a.
To a gain. Yeah, that's why going from.
Yeah. Are you getting like 4,000% or something like that?
Yep. I'm getting 4,300%.
Yep. Well, I guess since both of us got it, it must be right. But it's a lot of growth.
Yeah.
It's a lot of growth. A lot of growth. Then how satisfied are you with the revenue growth? What do you think, Herb? Are you pretty satisfied with like a 4,000% growth?
I mean, I mean, aside from using the obvious, I don't know how else to put it. Certainly within that short a time period, even the initial 2 years, I mean, it's just outstanding. And I mean, that's what happens when you start a completely new company from scratch, doing something that's never been done before, and you're basically inventing your own market, a niche. You know, your own, and you define the terms of what does it mean to be successful in this arena. Just like Apple did with the iPhone, although they were not the first to market, and neither was BzzAgent, but because of their dedication to that model, they were incredibly successful. And the same thing is the case here with BzzAgent.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it's obviously a good growth. What do you think, Landon?
Well, yeah, like Herb said, since they've got into something that they've basically created on their own, they have these exponential growth rates. And as we can see in the table, it steadies out to where it's a more even growth rate in the future. But there in the beginning, they definitely had growth and customers right off the bat, which is a great proof of concept, even though they don't really need that at this point. They know they've got it, but I think it also helps them going in the future to say, okay, this is something that's got extreme value to a lot of people,
Right.
and people aren't afraid to jump on board.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think I'm definitely satisfied with their growth rates.
For sure. And then it says, how satisfied are you with the operating margin?
So I don't quite understand how the first year the operating margin is at 115%.
Yeah.
When they had a loss.
Was
Yeah,
it
I was
from the maybe the fixed expenses.
From what?
The fixed expenses.
I mean, they spent more money than they made, so how can the operating margin be at over 100? I mean, we don't need to solve it. It's not part of the case study. I just don't understand it.
Well, that's gonna bug me now until I figure it out.
Sorry.
It's just one of those things. Huh.
Yeah.
Maybe they got a really big tax incentive. I don't know. I don't know. I'll have to think on that. But I mean, they've definitely had good growth. It's seems to be kind of around 25% now. Seems to have matured into that. They're experiencing pretty big growth from 2.61 to 11, but kind of settling down there. And then I don't know. I think it's a good operating margin. I think that it can always be improved as they maybe improve their processes. But I think for what they're doing right now, it's a good operating margin.
You know what I think they did? And you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on that 114%, because the operating margin is just operating income divided by revenue, correct?
Sales. Yeah.
Or sales, and that's the number. If you do 67,717 divided by their revenue of 59,042, it's 114%. But that's not taking into account that 67,000 was a negative number.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they would put it at 114% instead of saying that there was no operating margin or a negative operating margin,
Right.
because they're spending 114% of what they made. Like Herb said, they're spending more, so I don't know why they have that as a positive percentage. I don't know. It's confusing.
Well, maybe they're suckering people into testing, you know. We got first year we have 100%.
They're really successful.
Really, they're just hemorrhaging money. But
Right.
yeah. Well, thanks for figuring it out. Let's see. Okay, so just moving on here. If BuzzFeed or BzzAgent, sorry guys, is growing and profitable, why are they raising money now? And then can they succeed without VC funds? So Herb, you want to start with this?
Sure. I think they could succeed, but they had some specific goals they wanted to reach. So let me, because I know I highlighted those. So they wanted to develop additional operational capacity, just grow their team and have. I'm not sure what they mean here with a media-focused team. Are they talking about gaining additional agents to sign up and to fill out the surveys? And use social marketing to kind of create some buzz around the actual BzzAgent program. But they also wanted to buy back some shares. They don't really explain why they wanted to do that. But they also wanted to give the founding partners a bonus. I guess just to keep them content and to make sure that that they see some incentive out of creating such a profitable company, and making sure that down the road they wouldn't just take the first kind of snazzy offer, and they would just take that so that they could cash out. So they just wanted to protect their long-term growth and their long-term sustainability.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think they don't really need the money necessarily. It says, let's see, they are able to use cash generated from the business to fund working capital needs, but they also believe that to really expand the word of mouth space, they needed to develop additional operational capacity with a media focused team. So just like what you're talking about, or they have those specific goals for that. They wanted it to meet those specific goals, and I think, to be honest, I think they're more in it for the partners than they are for the money, because I think they really need that experience and that partnership more than they need the potential millions that they could get from it.
Yeah, I agree. That's kind of the direction I took. I felt that they'd be successful with as far as money without the venture capitalists, but I kind of went that same direction, Austin, that they were doing it more for the partnership and the skills and assets that the venture capitalists and those entrepreneurs could bring. And I don't remember exactly where it said in the case, but it talked about one of the biggest reasons, and when he made the rankings, he ranked them based off of what they can bring to the company, more than just financially. What can they bring to the company as far as value and talent? So I think they could have done it without the venture capitalists as far as the money is concerned, but I feel that they were really in it, as you said, for the partnerships and the experience that they could get from the venture capitalists. But I also think that the money does put them ahead as well, because they had those goals that you mentioned, Herb, of increasing their operational capacity as well as the media buzz. So I think that overall they could do it without the venture capitalists, but it just puts them that much further ahead, and especially this is a pivotal point, in their business. So I think it is the correct step to go with the venture capitalists.
Yeah, the question always is, why would somebody want to sell shares to their company or control over their company for money? And I think BzzAgent just sees that they're at this they're on the right track, but there's more market share that they can gain if they have the financial resources. And not only that, but like Landon pointed out, they have the knowledge or a knowledgeable team that can manage the growth in a proper fashion.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I guess, so can they succeed? We'll do a quick vote here. Can they succeed without VC funds? I know it's been discussed a little bit. I'm going to say they can, but I think they would be more successful with them. What do you think, Landon?
Yeah, I agree. I think they would be successful without them, and they could survive. But those funds and that experience would just put them that much further ahead. So
yeah,
they
especially since it's an emerging market, I think it's really important that they step up their game. There is a little bit of competition, but given the information in the beginning, how fast this new form of advertising is going to grow, and what kind of money it's going to attract, before long, somebody else is going to start playing in that realm as well. And once you've gotten the attention of Facebook, and I'm sure does something along these lines. Once you have a big player like that entering your market, you better have enough market share that you can defend your spot on the hill.
Yeah, for sure. And then what role does timing play in this decision? Or do you want to start us out?
What was the question?
What role does timing in this decision?
Timing?
Timing, yes.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said, it's so let's see again what they said in the numbers. So this is now in what year are they looking for funding? Is it 2006? Doesn't really say. I don't see it anywhere.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Mid-October 2005, okay? So mid-October 2005, and doesn't really give any where it's going to be in 2005, but says that by 2010 it's going to be a $3 billion market, and then by 2012 over 10 billion. So just like I said earlier, if they don't capture and secure enough market share, if they don't brand themselves, if in 2010, 2012, if somebody thinks about word of mouth advertising, and they don't immediately think of BzzAgent, or at least BzzAgent is the second thing they think of, then they haven't done enough. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally makes sense. Yeah, they definitely have to get that kind of their share in the market before it grows too big. Because I know they already have, when they're talking about their competitors, they said they already had one copycat that was small, so they need to really step it up. And then they're in a position now, since they have, literally venture capitalists just kind of really wanting to get involved with their business.
Yeah.
I think if they, use that timing, they can really set themselves apart from the other businesses.
And that's the thing, especially in that kind of market, branding, so that people associate, just like Kleenex. What do you call a paper tissue? You call it a Kleenex, because Kleenex just has so much market share, or ear cleaning. I don't even know what the regular name for it is, but a Q-tip. Once you reach that kind of branding, you're in a pretty safe spot.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I agree. The timing is, like we discussed, right now they don't have a whole lot of competition, but as Herb pointed out, it's obviously got a big market value. You know, people are going to see that it is valued among consumers and businesses. So if they don't increase it now, then their competition will. Someone's going to fill that need, whether it's them or not. So I think they definitely have timing is of the issue. They have to make sure they get it done before someone else does. And I think one of their biggest threats, I think it was Procter and Gamble, that was also doing the word of mouth marketing, but they had just focused on the teens, but they were gonna go into young mothers, I think it said, which is one of the biggest shares in the word of mouth marketing. So they're gonna open into it, and then Procter and Gamble's already such a big company that, you know, if they don't do it now, Procter and Gamble's gonna fill that void. So they really, timing does play a huge role. I think that if they're not in it right now and they're not successful, and as Herb said, it's not one of the first things you think of as BzzAgent, then they're gonna miss their opportunity. And like you said, there's things like Kleenex and Clorox and Q-tips.
Yeah.
Just use the name for it. You don't actually call it what it really is, you know, because it has defined that product. So, and I think BzzAgent they're at the point where they could do that if they time it correctly and they get in it sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And then just kind of rolling on with that, how much money does BzzAgent need? I don't think they need it, but I think they definitely want the 10 million because that's what they were asking for from all the venture capitalists.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Let me try to see if it said anywhere in here if they estimated the amount they needed, other than just the fact that they asked for 10 million. I don't remember reading it, and I can't see it now. So yeah, I guess I'll just go with that $10 million. That's what they're asking for the investors to give them. So I don't know. I don't see any other numbers giving me more of a specific of what they need. I'll keep looking though.
Yeah. So really, the only one who came back and gave them different terms was Company B, correct?
Right, right.
Well, I guess we'll get to the fun part with the math here. So on the spreadsheet, let's just, I guess, compare the 50 million valuation on the $15 million investment. So I did these and I checked my numbers and I had to correct some of them, but now they're right. That was I appreciated them giving us like a cheat sheet.
Yeah, that helped me.
Sometimes I can get off and one number will affect the next one. We'll throw off the whole thing. So
Yep.
that was good. So as far as the 15 million valuation on the $15 million dollar investment, it was. I think they were trying to get a little more ownership. Just in comparing the Series B ownership, you have 20% versus 23.1. It might not seem like a lot, but that 3% could along the road pay off a lot. I think the venture capitalists know that, and they're trying just to get a little more equity out of it.
I agree. I think that hopefully I think it asks us to go into the capitalization or the class prep worksheets later, but I thought it was interesting that the share price was only like 3 cents more for the venture capitalist firm. So they're really not adding extra value in terms of they value the stock more. They just want to buy more of it.
Yep.
And in reality, that just dilutes everybody else. So I think you're right, Austin, that they're not trying to value the company more as much as they're just trying to get more of the company, if that makes sense.
Yeah, not only in market share, but also in on the board of directors.
Right.
You know, going from 1/6 to a third, that's twice as much, or twice as many. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a big thing. And I think just kind of how I looked at this initially versus how I look at it after doing this is pretty different. So moving on here. Using your spreadsheet, discuss the math you use to calculate your answers on the tab entitled 2 VC Return Requirements. Hint, there's an answer key in the Excel workbook. If you get stuck, do your best to complete it without relying on that crutch. So let's see. Herb, do you want to start us off on this one?
So what was the question?
It just wants us to discuss the math that we use to calculate the answers for the 2 VC return requirement sheet.
Okay, so the VC return requirement, the value of the shares, I used F8, so the investment multiplied by the, what do you call it? What do you call it in English? Division? Is it division?
Rate of return?
No, you divide the basically I used the 40 million valuation and I multiplied that by the 15 million investment to get the value of investor shares at exit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I used the ratio of the value of investors' share at exit from the 40 million valuation to the Series B investment amount of 10 million, and I multiplied that by 15 million.
Awesome.
What number did you get for that, Herb?
55, 693, 950.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then the value is similar, but I used the sum of 50 plus 15 million, 65 million, and I multiplied that by the ratio of the 40 million value at exit to the sum of the pre-money valuation and the Series B investment under the 40 million or the 10 million investment. And I came to 241, 340, 450.
Awesome. What about you, Landon?
Yeah, I got the same things for 12 and 13. For the implied revenue at exit, I just did the value of BzzAgent at exit divided by 2.5 because the implied revenue was 2.5 times, or the value was 2.5 times the revenue. So I just worked backwards and divided it, which gave me the 96,536,180. The required revenue percentage one, I only got that one because I looked.
Yeah.
So, and
I had to Google it to figure it out. I didn't know the cheat sheet, but I Googled it. That was
I
figure it out.
understand it after I looked at it, but
yep.
on that one.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one. I was struggling with that one.
Yeah, that one was
I looked at it
confusing.
after, I was like, okay, raised to the 1/5 power minus
Minus
1.
one.
Okay, I'll trust you. But yeah, I got same things as you guys, but um, let's see how do the growth expectations affect your view on which term sheet is more favorable to management? Landon, do you want to start us off with this one?
Yeah, so I mean, you can look at it 2 different ways. The growth rate is higher under the second or the venture capitalist term sheet, but that's only because they expect more. That doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to get more, if that makes sense. So basically, it's saying that they need to require a higher percentage. So this could either be a motivation for management to say, okay, now we have a higher goal to work towards, and they could make that, or it's just going to be a stress to them, and they won't be able to achieve it. So it's not something that guarantees they're going to do better. It just means that they need to do better in order to satisfy their investors. So it puts more pressure on management, which in my mind, I think that would be harder for management. So I feel that the term sheet proposed by the venture capitalists would be slightly less appealing, just because it requires so much more of them. But then on the other hand, it could be that motivation they need to achieve it, you know?
Yeah.
So it goes either way, but I lean towards it being that management would want the original term sheet.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I felt like the growth was, I don't know, I wouldn't say not necessarily unrealistic, but not what management was shooting for. And um, I think BzzAgent can has a better view of what they're going to grow than the independent venture capitalist. I think they have more. I think they have better information, better knowledge of the company. So I feel like the venture capitalist comes in there and says, you're going to grow. What is it, like almost 9% more than you projected? I feel like that's going to put undue pressures on them, and I feel like it might make the venture capitalists unhappy if they don't meet those as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in addition, you give up more control. Not only in the shares, but also on the board of directors. So now you have 2 people from the VC breathing down your neck and making suggestions or course corrections. So it's just a uphill battle.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, it says go to the tab entitled 3 capitalization tables. Compare your responses. If there are differences or questions about the numbers, help each other come to the right answers, discussing until each group member feels comfortable with where the numbers came from. So it just wants it doesn't want the math, right? Or it does want the math, huh? Wasn't sure if it was just wanting our responses or the actual math behind it, but I guess it wants the actual math. So I guess I'll just start out here. So as far as this goes, let's see here. So with the post-money valuation, I just got the pre-money valuation plus the Series B investment. It's pretty simple for that. And then for the ownership, I got the Series B investment divided by the post-money valuation.
Yeah, that's what I got.
Awesome. Anyone want to go next? I guess we'll just keep working down the sheet here.
Are we on the third sheet?
Yeah, we're on the third one, capitalization table, step 2.
Okay.
I can go if you want. So I just input the Series B investor. Their ownership is 23%, 23.1%, and then 17% I didn't calculate because that was on the term sheet as well. And then the current shareholders, it was just the 100% minus the 23 minus the 17%. That's what's left over. So I got 60% for the current shareholders, 17% for the option pool, and 23.1% for the Series B investor.
Awesome.
Yeah, for the price per share, I just divided the what was it up here? The money valuation, the 65 million, divided that by the number of shares in G33, came to $7.06, and then the value was just simply multiplying the shares by the price per share.
Awesome. I feel like we're all pretty solid on the math there,
Yeah.
since we're all getting the same thing. Let's see. Why is the price per share of the VC term sheet very close to that of the VC term sheet, but the value of the current shareholders is different?
So because the ratios are similar, 40 to 10 million, 50 to 15 is very similar. But because they are able to put more money in, they also get a bigger slice of the pie.
Yep. I think you hit the nail on the head there. Anything you would like to add to that, Landon?
Well, yeah, basically what Herb said. I looked at the total number of shares outstanding at the end of each term sheet, and under the venture capitalists, they had a little over 2 million more shares outstanding. And if you look at the percentage of ownership between the two, they've gone from the current shareholders went from 72% down to 60%, and it seems like the valuation is higher because 60% of the 9 million shares at the $7.10 is still more than 72% of the 7 million shares at $7.07. But in reality, if we're looking strictly at percentages, they're worse off. They're only better off right now because the company has a higher valuation, but they have less shares. So,
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that goes right into the next one. And obviously, the founder, they care more about the value to the current shareholders, right?
Yeah, and then as they go on to a Series C and Series D and whatnot, they will continue to dilute their shares already anyways. So the more they hold on in the beginning, the more they hold on to shares in the beginning, the better off they'll be in the long run.
Exactly, yeah.
And then, so what do you guys think? It's pretty obvious, but what number do you think is more important as a Series A investor?
Well, I go for the percentage, the equity percentage, more than the actual valuation of the shares that they give us, because, in my opinion, that's more important. Especially as the founders and the initial investors, as Herb was saying, that equity share is more important than the actual value, because later on, when this company has gone to $300 million, that few percentage points that they've kept is going to add up a lot. So, in my opinion, I'd focus more on the percentages than I would the actual value at this point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, totally makes sense to me. I think investors, I think it's one of, just like some of our previous cases, this is a time where the investors and the founders just kind of have different priorities, and they want different things. So I think the founders will have to step up and kind of protect their interests. I think that if they don't do that, they're going to get their shit diluted, and it's not gonna. They're going to lose some money. So the tab entitled Class Prep Worksheet, and we're just going to discuss our responses there. So the first question is, based on your analysis of the BzzAgent term sheet and the VC term sheet, has your opinion of which term sheet to accept changed? Which proposal would you recommend that Balter accept? And honestly, I would accept the first one from Company A. It is between Company A and Company C for me, but Company A wanted out because they seemed like the most genuine and they had the best, I think, chemistry. I think they described them as like the kindest as well. And it was this firm's, I guess, I think it was the venture capitalist's first potential company to invest in. So they would add a lot of value to it, and they would kind of just be 100% on their side with helping them out.
You said Company A, right?
What was that?
You said Company A, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so this first question, were we supposed to evaluate all three companies or just the two term sheets?
Oh, it was the term sheets. Sorry about that, guys.
Okay. Yeah, because I simply said insist on using your own term sheet.
It's my bad.
I didn't make it my answer complicated at all.
You guys should have stopped me before I really started getting into it, man. Sorry about that, guys.
Oh no, that's okay. I said the same thing, that they should keep their own term sheet. So yeah.
What do you think, Herb? Should they keep their term sheet?
Because it kind of leads into the second question, right? That the VC term sheet describes a more investor-friendly board, and it asks, what would you give up to keep it the way that BzzAgent suggested it? And I said I would give up the $10 million in valuation, and the $5 million in investment. I mean, I think it's mission critical that BzzAgent keeps the board the way that they suggested and not give an outside, obviously you want to be partners with the VC, but they're still an outsider. They have their own agenda because they expect a return for their money, but you want to give them as little power within the company and certainly within the board of directors as possible. So to that effect, I'd be willing to give up the $10 million in valuation and the $5 million in additional investment.
Yeah, that's exactly what I put, because that was what they're giving up by accepting their own term sheet instead of
Yep.
The other one. So there, yeah, that's exactly what I put, and for the same reasons that venture capitalist firm wasn't bringing enough value to compensate for what they're giving up, Yep. And the fact that they have already got other offers that keep their term sheets, and in reality, I feel put them in better shape in the future. I think it'd be unwise not to give up that increase in valuation and the extra investment. So yeah, that's what I put too.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think. What was that?
I'm sorry. And on top of that, what you kind of alluded to, because you were kind of, talking about Company A and Company C. Company B was only on the West Coast, and they already told them, hey, we're not going to give you as much attention and as much time of the day because you're so far away, and we have so much already going on over here on the West Coast. So they want to dilute your share. They want to dilute your board of directors. They give you more money, but that's an incredibly high cost, and then you're still not getting a partner that's fully invested in the brain power needed to grow BzzAgent.
And that's really what they were looking for from the beginning, was more of a partner. You know,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily need the money, but they need some expertise and a partner. And so I totally agree with that.
Yeah, you're spot on, Austin. Absolutely. They were much more interested in a intellectual partnership more than a financial. But I mean, they also, you know, because of some of the, wasn't it there some research or something that they had done, and most companies kind of valued them at 20 million, and the guy said, "Oh, we're gonna double that." You know?
Right.
So that was kind of cocky, but
Yeah.
you know, again, because they're so powerful in this emerging market, they can demand that, and obviously they've gotten, you know, attention from some major players. So kudos to them.
Yeah, for sure. So number 3 here, BzzAgent term sheet described a planned distribution of approximately $3 million to management and current investors immediately prior to the transaction. What is your opinion of the merits of such a distribution from Balter's perspective and from the VC's perspective? You want to start us off on this, Landon?
Yeah, from what I gathered in the case, they were doing it mainly to prevent the early investors and the founders from taking an early exit down the road. So they were giving them something now to help keep them committed to the company. So I think that's what the value that Balter saw in it, in giving that that money to the management in terms of bonus. From the venture capitalist perspective, I think it does the same thing. It shows that, you know, the management is concerned about their investors as well as keeping people on board, and they're looking for people to stay long term, and also that they, like I said, they give back. So I think that would look good for the venture capitalists. But I thought it was interesting. I think Company B wanted to get rid of that option. Was that the case? They didn't want him to give the $3 million.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and which kind of goes back into, I felt that Company B was just, as you mentioned, you know, they were kind of cocky. They thought that they could offer the best, so they just came in, gave them a high valuation in hopes that that would put them in front of the competition. But I don't feel that they really have BzzAgent's best interest at heart at this point. I think they're looking more after themselves, and so giving away that $3 million in the beginning is just less cash that's in the company for them. So that's how I felt about that.
Yeah, I agree with Landon. It almost seems like Company B is looking at it more as a business transaction, whereas Company A and Company C view it as a partnership, you know, mutually beneficial partnership. They're willing to give and take. And Company B, it seems they were more on the taking side than on the giving side.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that I agree with Landon. I think Company B was just a little cocky. Plus, I think that really shows their just kind of what they're going to do in the future, because basically BzzAgent, and they sent out this proposal, right?
Yep.
And they said, agree to this proposal, and this is what we want. And then instead of complying with that, I think Company B decided that they're going to just kind of sneak around it, try to get ahead, and they didn't do it with the rest of them, really. And I think that says a lot about the company, especially since they don't really need that money. And as far as the $3 million goes, I think I think Balter, I don't know. I think that they deserve it. But as far as any VC is not going to like that because, they want those funds to probably be used at their discretion instead of, what the founders want. But I think they merit it.
And then keep in mind the $3 million are, split among several people, right? So there's the two founders, and then several investors. I don't think the case study really spells out if there's other founders involved as well, or just the Balter and the other guy. I can't remember what his name was. But there's at least 4 people for sure. They're going to split that $3 million. And that's after what, 3 years now? 3 or 4 years?
Yeah.
Of putting effort into this.
Yeah, they definitely merit it. So now, as a group, let's see. I guess we have to complete this poll. Let me click on that. So I guess let's all do the poll right now before we can get access to the raising capital at BzzAgent case. So I guess I'll just do that real quick.
So the only difference I see, it looks like, is that there's a company D now mentioned.
Yeah.
But then it's almost repetitive because I remember reading in the first case study about this other company submitting a 60-page document how they could help. Am I
I thought that
mistaken?
was company C that did that. But I guess that was company D.
Huh.
It's confusing.
And sorry, guys, I'm just now starting to read it because I still had to take that little quiz thing or whatever.
You're all right.
Let's see. I need to read these more carefully before I start. See if I can get some stuff done before.
Oh, okay, so I guess they inserted company B in the second case study and pushed everybody down.
Huh.
And company B,
Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, company B is really cocky.
Okay, so I guess as a group, decide which offer you will take, if any.
Are you guys ready to discuss it, or do you want to keep reading?
No, I'm ready.
I'm ready.
All right.
And
Yeah.
while we're doing this, is anyone feeling particularly inclined to do the Word document?
Yeah, I'll type it up while we talk.
Okay.
Right, it's not complicated or anything. It says should be brief document and our reasoning. Well, we already kind of talked about it.
Right.
You made some very good points, Austin.
Yeah,
As I
so-
confuse the question.
Yeah, I agreed with Austin that they should go with firm A. I felt that, firm B kind of went off the option table at the beginning, so I don't, unless you guys feel that they should still be considered, they're not really in my group right now.
Nope.
As far as firm C, I felt that since one of the most important things that they were looking for is a strong partnership, and at this point, all the offers are the same monetarily, so now they just have to look at what value they bring. And they have the strongest connection, like you said, Austin, to firm A. And really, the only thing wrong I saw with A was the lack of cachet that they said. But I felt that the individuals that were in firm A had the experience, and maybe themselves they have the connections needed, but the firm itself may not, since it's such a new firm. So really, that was the only thing wrong with it, was the lack of firm connections, if that makes sense. But I think the individuals within the firm have the proper connections, and like I said in the case, they just don't have the time or the experience to have a good proper track record of their investments. But I still feel that company A or firm A is their best option. Strictly looking at past the monetary stuff, but just at the value that the firm brings.
Yeah, I totally agree. I gave most of my reasoning before. I think they'd do well with firm A. Firm A would totally focus on them. It's not like the other ones, the more established ones. They've already got a lot of things on their plate. And I think BzzAgent wouldn't necessarily be number one on their priority list. So what BzzAgent is really looking for is that partner, and I think they'd find the best partner in firm A.
So far, I typed up, we propose to pick company A's offer. They're young and hungry, willing to give full support to BzzAgent, and look at this transaction as a partnership rather than a simple business investment. In addition, they also have the strongest emotional connection with the founders, which would most likely indicate a long-term successful relationship. While the company may be lacking some cachet in previous successes, they have individuals that are highly talented and bring ample experience to help BzzAgent reach new heights. And then I just started quickly typing about B and C, saying it both seem to be more interested in what is in, oh, that's not right. Interested in what's in for them in this relationship.
That sounds good. I like that.
Yeah, you should be a writer.
I know.
For them in this relationship. Then company D would be second choice, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
And that's the one where they had less of a connection.
Yeah.
And it's Balder, right? B-A-L-D-E-R?
T-E-R.
T-E-R, Balter.
Yeah, Balter.
Although Balter did mention that he less of a solid connection with them. This might make the relationship more professional but lead to what do I want to say? So the lack of a solid emotional connection will make the relationship more professional, but it will also lead to more friction.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Or potential friction,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and increased potential for friction when the two parties disagree on the direction that BzzAgent should take in the future. Oh, here, let me share it quickly. Share screen. Can you see it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it looks good to me.
Yeah, I like it.
All right, and then I'll send it. I'll email it to both of you.
Perfect.
I think only one person has to submit it.
Okay, I'll just send it to you since you were the group leader.
What was that?
I'll send it to you since you were the group leader, Austin.
Okay.
One person will use this as somebody's instruct. Does it say how you're supposed to submit it?
Yeah, it's just right below. It just has a link.
Oh, okay. There you go. Let me send it over to you. Reply all.
And as we're closing, anyone want to have any other points to make or any other insights into this case?
No, I think we had a pretty thorough discussion on it, so I'm satisfied with where it ended.
Awesome. Well, that sounds good. Well, I got that from you, Herb, so I'll go ahead and turn that in. Great job today. I thought we had a really good discussion. Well, sounds good.
All right, and so the next week we're back to 2 case studies, right?
I believe so, yeah.
So we'll do Tuesday and Friday?
Yeah, and I believe that's my turn, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I will...
No. Tuesday is me. Tuesday's me. You're Friday.
Oh, okay.